The year 2026 is rapidly approaching, and with it, a perfect storm of logistical collapse, resource scarcity, and civil friction. Most modern shooters are sleepwalking into this crisis, betting their lives on budget-bin polymer trash or overhyped safe queens that will shatter the moment the supply chains snap. The truth that manufacturers absolutely do not want you to know is that the current market is flooded with liabilities disguised as defensive tools. You cannot afford to be a tactical tourist when the grid falters. You need uncompromising, heavily engineered ordnance that thrives in the absolute worst conditions imaginable. This masterclass is going to infuriate the purists and the brand-loyal sheep who defend their mediocre purchases in the comment sections. We are dismantling the illusions of the modern firearms industry. I am about to walk you through 7 highly capable, ruthlessly efficient weapons that offer genuine survival utility. This is not a list of cheap alternatives. This is a blueprint for elite retention and operational dominance. We are going deep into the mechanical souls of these weapons, exposing their engineering brilliance and their fatal flaws so you can make an educated choice before the shelves go entirely bare. Number 1, Walther PDP Compact. The modern operational environment demands uncompromising optical integration, and the Walther PDP Compact was explicitly engineered to dominate this space. Unlike legacy platforms that treat red dot sights as an afterthought, the PDP was built from the ground up around the optic. In the looming 2026 crisis, where low-light engagements and rapid target acquisition will dictate survival, relying on iron sights alone is a fool's gamble. The PDP represents the German philosophy of aggressive forward thinking, a weapon designed for the shooter who demands absolute optical superiority without sacrificing mechanical reliability. If we dissect the slide geometry, we find what Walther calls super-terrain serrations. These are not just aesthetic cuts, they are deeply machined, protruding ridges that allow for brutal, blood-soaked slide manipulation. Beneath that aggressive tenifer-coated steel lies a step chamber, a brilliant piece of internal engineering that ensures a tighter seal around the cartridge. This obturation translates to slightly higher muzzle velocities and a cleaner internal action, keeping the gun running even when carbon fouling reaches critical levels. The polymer frame is robust, utilizing a tetrahedral grip texture that locks into human skin or tactical gloves with equal ferocity. But what truly separates this model from commercial trash is the performance duty trigger. It is undeniably the finest factory striker-fired trigger in existence, offering a distinct glass-like break and a hyper-tactile reset. This trigger profile allows for staggering split times, making rapid strings of fire feel telepathic. However, this performance comes with a specific recoil management profile. Because of the step chamber and the massive optics-ready slide, the PDP has a famously snappy recoil impulse. It does not shoot flat like a heavy competition gun. Instead, it arcs sharply and returns instantly to absolute zero, demanding a shooter who understands dynamic grip tension. The secret flaw of the Walther PDP is its top-heavy nature. That massive slide mass, while brilliant for optical mounting and slide manipulation, creates a high-bore axis that can feel unwieldy to a novice. Yet, for the 2026 survival perspective, this is a calculated trade-off. The modularity of the optic cut and the sheer reliability of the step chamber make it an elite-tier sidearm. It is a weapon built for the aggressive assaulter, a tool that refuses to compromise on its duty-grade mandate. Number 2, CZ P10C. When the supply chains fracture, you cannot rely on delicate, over-marketed American-safe queens. You need Eastern European utility modernized for the apocalypse. The CZ-P10C is the Cold War heritage of Česká zbrojovka distilled into a modern, striker-fired powerhouse. It was designed to dethrone the reigning polymer monarchs by offering superior biomechanics right out of the box. This weapon speaks to the soul of the pragmatist, the American gun owner who values cold, hard performance over flashy branding. It is an unassuming workhorse that quietly outperforms weapons costing 3 times as much. Mechanically, the P10C is an absolute fortress. It features a cold hammer-forged barrel, a process that hardens the steel on a molecular level, ensuring accuracy that outlasts tens of thousands of rounds. The slide and barrel are treated with a heavy nitride finish, rendering the metal virtually impervious to the harsh, corrosive environments we anticipate in the coming years. The frame is constructed from a proprietary fiberglass reinforced polymer that resists thermal flexing during extreme firing schedules. Furthermore, it features true ambidextrous controls, not merely reversible ones, meaning if your primary arm is incapacitated, the weapon operates identically in your offhand. The trigger profile is where the P10C traditionally embarrasses its competitors. It utilizes a flat-face shoe with minimal take-up, breaking cleanly with a surprisingly light pull for a duty gun. Because CZ engineered an incredibly low bore axis, the recoil management is inherently superior. The recoil impulse pushes straight back into the web of the hand rather than snapping upward, allowing the shooter to track their front sight with surgical precision through rapid fire. In brutal torture tests, where the weapon is buried in sand, submerged in mud, and run bone dry, the P10C cycles with a terrifying mechanical indifference to its environment. However, there is a secret flaw that the manufacturers try to gloss over. The slide release is notoriously brutally stiff straight from the factory. It requires a break-in period that will physically bruise your thumb. But in the context of 2026, this stiffness is a testament to its oversprung, heavy-duty internal tolerances. The scarcity value of a well-broken-in P10C will be astronomical. It is the chosen implement for the silent professional, a weapon that demands nothing and delivers everything when the chips are down. Number 3. Smith & Wesson M&P9 M2 Metal. There is a growing uncomfortable truth in the tactical community. Polymer frames, while lightweight, lack the structural rigidity required for true generational durability. The Smith & Wesson M&P9 M2 Metal is a violent rejection of the plastic era, returning to American heritage with a forged T6 aluminum frame. This is a weapon built for the absolute worst-case scenario. When the temperatures plummet to freezing or soar to blistering highs, polymer flexes and warps, aluminum remains violently resolute. This pistol is an anvil, representing the unbreakable spirit of the American frontiersman adapted for urban survival. Internal mechanics dictate that a metal frame changes the entire physics of the weapon's operation. The M.2.0 Metal utilizes an Armornite-finished stainless steel slide and barrel, but the genius lies in the steel chassis pinned inside the aluminum grip. This creates a rigid track for the slide, completely eliminating the harmonic flex that plagues polymer guns during rapid fire. The finish is a matte tungsten gray Cerakote that diffuses light and resists chemical degradation. It is a masterpiece of material science, blending the lightweight properties of aerospace aluminum with the sheer ballistic strength of hardened steel. Ergonomically, this weapon is a revelation. It retains the famous 1/8-degree grip angle of the M&P series, which aligns with the natural biological pointing angle of the human wrist. S&W upgraded this model with a modernized flat-face trigger that eliminates the mushy, hinge design of the past. The recoil management is profound. The added mass of the aluminum frame absorbs the kinetic energy of the 9mm cartridge, making it shoot incredibly flat. You can run hypervelocity defensive hollow points, and the M2 Metal simply soaks up the punishment, allowing for devastatingly fast follow-up shots. The secret flaw lies in its logistical maintenance regarding optical compatibility. S&W's factory optic plate system is notoriously mediocre, often requiring aftermarket plates to achieve a truly bomb-proof mount. Additionally, the extra weight makes deep concealment slightly more burdensome. But looking toward the 2026 crisis, concealment will take a backseat to sheer, blunt force durability. This is a weapon that you can use to hammer a nail into a barricade and then immediately use to defend that same barricade. Number 4. Beretta 92X RDO. This is going to trigger the modern tactical hipsters, but the striker-fired paradigm is not infallible. When temperatures drop and internal lubricants freeze, striker springs lose their kinetic energy, leading to dead triggers and light primer strikes. The Beretta 92X RDO is the DA/SA double-action heavy metal savior that the 2026 environment demands. With its external hammer falling like an absolute sledgehammer, it crushes hard military primers that would choke a modern polymer gun. It is the pinnacle of Italian mechanical heritage, upgraded with red dot capability for the modern apocalypse. The most critical engineering triumph of the 92X is its iconic open slide design. By removing the top of the slide, Beretta effectively eliminated the possibility of stovepipe malfunctions. Empty brass has zero internal surface area to bounce against during ejection. The frame features the Vertec grip profile, which flattens the historically bulky backstrap, allowing shooters with average hands to achieve a dominant, crushing grip. The barrel and slide are coated in a rugged Brunetton finish, while the internal locking block, the heart of the gun's recoil system, is machined from high-yield ordnance steel to withstand continuous abuse. Trigger enthusiasts revere the 92X because it houses the Extreme S trigger group. The double-action pull is a smooth, rolling masterclass in mechanical leverage, while the single-action brake is a razor-thin glass rod with a millimeter reset. Because of the falling locking block mechanism and the substantial 3-ounce unloaded weight, the recoil impulse is virtually non-existent. The gun does not flip. It simply glides backward and forward on its rails like a finely tuned sewing machine. It is a weapon that turns average shooters into absolute surgeons under stress. Its secret flaw is inherent to the open slide. While it ejects perfectly, if you bury the weapon deep in heavy, wet mud, debris can directly enter the barrel chamber. Furthermore, the slide-mounted safety decocker requires extensive training to manipulate cleanly during a high-stress draw. However, the logistical maintenance of the Beretta 92 series is unmatched. Parts are universally available globally, and its track record spans decades of global conflict. In a grid-down scenario, the 92X RDO is a generational heirloom that will keep you alive. Number 5. FN 509 Tactical. The truth that manufacturers don't want you to know is that most commercial handguns fall apart under the brutal stress of sustained suppressed fire. The FN 509 Tactical was born in the fires of the military's modular handgun system trials, and it is arguably the most over-engineered combat pistol on the civilian market. FN Herstal builds machine guns for the global elite, and they scaled that belt-fed durability down into this platform. This is not a range toy, this is a tier. One offensive weapon designed for door kickers and survivalists who expect to operate in non-permissive environments. Let's look at the materials science. The barrel is cold, hammer-forged stainless steel, threaded, and features a recessed target crown to protect the rifling from impact damage. The slide is treated with a proprietary PVD, physical vapor deposition, finish that is absurdly hard, shrugging off holster wear and environmental corrosion. Internally, the 509 Tactical utilizes a captive dual recoil spring assembly that is heavily sprung specifically to manage the increased back pressure of running a suppressor. It features truly ambidextrous slide stops and magazine releases, demanding no compromises from the operator. The brilliance of the 509 Tactical lies in its low-profile optics mounting system. FN created a patented series of O-rings and plates that absorb the shearing forces that normally snap optic screws, making it the most rugged factory mounting solution ever conceived. The ergonomics are aggressive, with a pyramidal grip texture that locks into the hand like shark skin. The trigger is undeniably heavy braking, around 6.5 pounds, but it is a deliberate, combat-oriented, flat-faced shoe designed to prevent sympathetic discharges under extreme physiological stress. Recoil is heavily mitigated by the dual spring, allowing the shooter to track targets through night vision seamlessly. The secret flaw of the 509 is the striker itself. It is a highly engineered, complex part that is notoriously brittle if subjected to thousands of dry fire repetitions without a snap cap. If you dry fire it excessively empty, the striker can shear, but if you respect its mechanical boundaries, it is virtually indestructible in live fire. For the 2026 tactical archetype, the out-of-the-box capability to run 2 4-round extended magazines, a red dot, and a suppressor makes the FN 509 Tactical a terrifyingly capable primary weapon system. Number 6. Steyr L9-A2 MF. This entry is going to cause a riot among the mainstream tactical crowd, but the Steyr L9-A2 MF is mechanically and biologically superior to almost every popular striker-fired gun on the market. Hailing from Austria, Steyr has quietly produced a dark horse platform that entirely rethinks the physics of shooting. When society fractures, those who rely on crowdsourced opinions will perish. Those who understand biomechanical leverage will thrive. The L9-A2 MF is an absolute masterclass in ergonomic manipulation, designed for the analytical shooter who demands peak efficiency. The engineering marvel of the Steyr lies in its integrated chassis system and its impossibly low bore axis. The slide is aggressively tapered and treated with a Mannix finish that rivals the hardest diamond-like coatings in the industry. By recessing the striker assembly deep into the frame, Steyr aligned the barrel directly with the radius bone of the shooter's forearm. This completely alters the recoil impulse. Muzzle flip is eradicated. The kinetic energy is channeled straight back into the skeletal structure, allowing for split times that border on the theoretical limits of human reaction. What truly alienates the casuals and elevates the elite are the trapezoidal sights. Instead of aligning a block inside a notch, you align a triangle apex inside a trapezoid. This forces rapid biological alignment, drawing the human eye naturally to the absolute center point of aim. The trigger features an incredibly short take-up and a reset that is so minimal it feels like a thought rather than a physical movement. The modular grip panels allow for a highly customized fit, ensuring the weapon points as an exact extension of the operator's central nervous system. The secret flaw is brutal. There is almost zero aftermarket support, and the proprietary rail system is highly restrictive. If a part breaks in 2026, you will not find a replacement in a scavenged sporting goods store. You will be machining it yourself. This weapon is a massive, calculated risk. It is strictly for the elite marksman who is willing to sacrifice supply chain safety for absolute Unrivaled biomechanical perfection in a gunfight. Number 7. Springfield Echelon. We end with the weapon that is currently disrupting the entire architectural foundation of modern pistol manufacturing. The Springfield Echelon is not just a new gun, it is a profound reimagining of the modular sidearm concept, built specifically for an unpredictable future. In a 2026 scenario, where you might need to transition from deep, non-permissive concealment to full-scale overt combat gear in a matter of hours, a static, single-frame weapon is a tactical liability. The Echelon solves this with its Central Operating Group, COG, a serialized, self-contained stainless steel chassis that can be dropped into any size grip module in seconds. The materials and internal mechanics are staggering. The COG is machined from a single billet of stainless steel, housing the entire firing mechanism independent of the polymer shell. The slide is deeply trenched with an aggressive trench cut design, coated in a melanite finish that laughs at salt water and sweat. But the absolute genius of the Echelon is the variable interface system. It utilizes a system of self-locking pins directly milled into the slide, allowing over 30 different optics to mount directly to the steel without the use of fragile adapter plates. This eliminates the weakest link in modern red dot systems. The ergonomics of the polymer grip modules are heavily textured and deeply undercut, allowing for a suffocatingly high purchase on the weapon. The trigger is shockingly refined for a chassis system, offering a defined wall and a crisp duty weight brake. Recoil management is handled by a captive flat wire spring that smoothly decelerates the slide, keeping the optic window perfectly stable through rapid cadences of fire. It is an incredibly flat, predictable shooter that inspires immediate confidence. The secret flaw of the Echelon is its infancy. It lacks the 30-year, blood-soaked track record of legacy systems, meaning long-term, high round count failure points are still theoretical. Furthermore, the aggressive slide cuts can act as cheese graters on inside the waistband concealment garments. However, its modularity makes it the ultimate logistical chameleon. You can stockpile cheap polymer frames and swap the serialized heart of the weapon instantly. It is the definitive survival tool for the 2026 underground. The uncomfortable reality is that most of you will ignore this data. You will retreat to your comfort zones, clutching your budget tier plastic, convincing yourselves that just as good will be enough when the world burns. It will not be. The engineering truths we have dissected today are absolute. Physics and metallurgy do not care about your feelings, your brand loyalty, or your limited budget. I expect the comment section to be a bloodbath of purists defending their obsolete purchases. Let them rage. Argue your case down below if you think you know better, but bring technical facts, not emotional attachments. You have the blueprint for survival. What you do with it is on you. Stay vigilant.